Welcome to the Gold Standard here on the 440 Sports Network. That is Emma Lingan. I am Braden Gall. We're brought to you by Sinkers Beverages. How are you, Emma?
I'm well. How are you, Braden?
I'm doing well. Nate says he didn't know hockey could be discussed this time of year. I thought the NFL was all that matters. Hey, look, I love football. I'm excited about football. Emma's excited about baseball, the playoffs. I'm excited about EPL season starting this weekend. Now I'm a lifelong diehard Arsenal fan. And you got college football coming. It's a very exciting time of year. It's also soup season, chili season, hoodie season, fire pit season. Those are all good things in my household. So make sure you, and of course, as the weather turns, you can broaden your horizons on alcohol. You can get like a milk stout, perhaps from Sinkers Beverages. You could drink more like smoky, earthy beverages if you want to. And Sinkers Beverages has you covered for all of that stuff. And a guy who can make a mean chili, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. He's been talking to me about trying to do some watch parties for the Preds around chili, and I was like, that's all I needed. I don't need to know anything else. We're gonna eat chili and watch hockey. Let's do it. Josh, good to see you as well. Going to be a little shorter today on the show. We're going to tease what's going on Lower Broad Hockey. I had a very, very long conversation with Scott Nichol yesterday about we watched film on the 3 first-round draft picks, and we talked about a bunch of other farm system players and sort of some of the goals the Predators have around some of their events. So we will we'll tease a little bit of that. You'll see a taste of that, and if you want, you got to go subscribe to Lower Broad Hockey to get the full conversation from Scott and myself. That'll be out tomorrow on Thursday on Lower Broad Hockey. Ryan Johansen saga has come to an end. Means absolutely nothing, but I find it interesting that it's over. So we'll get into that. And then I thought we'd have some fun because this is actually the middle of training camp season, and hockey is, as Scott told me in our conversation, this is literally the slowest week of the year for them. And so this is it. So we're going to do like how we want to fix hockey. I want to know what changes you would make to the NHL based on things that you like in other sports, based on ideas you've had for a long time. Emma, I want to know how we're going to fix the NHL. Some of the things around the edges that we could tweak a little bit about the sport. So that's what's coming up today on the show. Make sure you are on YouTube, thumbs up, notifications turned on, subscribe, tell somebody about the show. We do talk hockey year round on this show. I know Emma talks hockey year round. You got all of her scribings about the NHL. You can check that out. And obviously, Sinkers Beverages and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue support those 2 good local sponsors. Yes, Eddie, milk stout as in a beer. That is correct. Perhaps a coffee stout or, like a maple brown. I don't know. You could just drink darker beers as it gets colder. That's all. I can't drink dark beer in the summertime anymore. I'm too old for that.
I don't know. My dad only drinks dark beer, like regardless of the time of year, and I don't understand. I don't even like it when it gets colder.
He doesn't call Yingling dark beer, does he?
No, like stouts.
Okay.
Like I mean,
he's a Yinzer, isn't he?
He is. He'll drink a Yingling, but like he prefers a stout or a porter. I can't do it. I like to be able to see through my beer a little bit.
Yeah, the bourbon burns better when it's cold out. There's no question about that. Look, as I've gotten older, as all people who, except for your dad, apparently, especially in the South, you generally get lighter, fruitier, sweeter types of beers, more crushable, as the kids like to say. Maybe it's like now those kids are like young adults and they're not cool anymore either. I don't know. Anyway, Sinkers Beverages, search Uber Eats, have the booze delivered directly to your house. Yingling has a dark beer. I just see Yingling poured into a glass and I'm like, it's not supposed to be that color if it tastes like that. I'm not a Yingling guy. I don't like Yingling. But sponsor the show if you want to. Ryan Johansen's saga comes to an end. Our independent arbiter has said that basically he was in material breach of his contract, and the Flyers were right. So doesn't mean anything for the Predators really at all. I just found it fascinating that it finally happened after it couldn't do anything for the Predators. But basically, the hip injury or the long time thing, like Emma, it basically just means Ryan Johansen did something wrong.
I do find it funny, the chokehold that this entire situation had on a certain sect of the Predators fan base. And I guess, Braden, you are the leader of that sect.
No.
Because this was never going to mean anything for Nashville, because by the time they figured it out, Nashville wasn't going to be able to benefit from it. His salary comes off the books after this year anyway. So, or after this past year anyway. So I don't know. I think that we don't know what it is. Of course, the internet is the internet. So people are going to speculate as to what exactly he did that was in breach of his contract. That's not our job to do. And that's not,
I think it's what we're going to do.
it's not what we're going to do. Listen, Ryan Johansen is now a free agent. He's got a baby on the way too. So maybe he's
Come
just
on.
focusing on that right now.
Water skiing accident, ATV accident.
I genuinely
is he a snowboarder? Was he hunting orca whales in Vancouver with his bare hands and a knife? Like, what was he doing? We can have a little fun, Emma. Come on. Like, you can have a little fun.
I don't have any fun.
This is all speculation. Clearly. Come on. Orcas with your bare hands. That's funny. Come on.
That would be fun. If that turned out to be true, then that would be fun.
I could see Ryan Johansen hunting large like mammals with his bare hands. I could see that.
Yeah.
Was he? Did he get hurt on starring on an episode of Alone, like north of the Arctic Circle in his native homeland? Let's have some fun with this. You're being a big Debbie Downer.
Again, have you met me?
Because honestly, I'd never. You give me a hard time. Literally, it's not crossed my mind as an important thing at all at any point during.
No, I know it hasn't for you, and I was just giving you a hard time. But for a lot of people, they're like, I was getting almost weekly messages from people. Any update here? It's like, no. What do you think his lawyer calls me weekly to give me the updates? Like, no, there is no update because this all ended exactly how we thought it was going to, which was like, because in the NHL, the Flyers or whoever are not going to terminate your contract unless they've got an airtight reason to. And it's just the job of the Players Association to file that whatever the complaint or whatever
the grievance.
The grievance, that's what it was. Yes, to air grievances. And it was all due diligence. It was all just the process. So
do you think he was on a cruise and on one of those slides, the bottom dropped out and he fell through a slide and landed on the deck and hurt his hip? What do you think? Is that possible?
Yes, I'm sure that's what happened.
What if he was in a treehouse in Chattanooga with all the guys and maybe the rope swing broke? You're no fun.
Maybe I'm a little bitter because I have a hip injury that was not fun. Oh. I have an old lady hip injury. I broke my hip from running on a treadmill, and I don't have a fun excuse for it. Yeah.
I would change the story if I was you. Just make up something great. Like you were probably hunting large mammals in Canada.
Yeah, I got a hip injury. An orca with a knife in my bare hands. That's how I hurt my hip. It's exactly how it happened.
Traylon Burks would be proud of you. No, I just wanted to. This is literally the only reason I wanted to talk about it was to make up reasons, to make up things that Ryan Johansen could have done that were feasible in your mind. You're like, oh, I could see Ryan doing that. That's all I wanted to do.
I mean, that's probably what it is it's probably something embarrassing, like he slipped on ice in his driveway or something. It's not even a fun, stupid thing. Not like he was being reckless, but it was icy and he fell.
It's a very golfer thing to do. It sounds like Scotty Scheffler, oh, I tripped on the last step.
Yeah.
Or was that Dustin Johnson?
Freddie Freeman broke his toe in the shower or something earlier this year.
Baseball players are the worst injuries. Didn't Sammy Sosa go on the DL from sneezing? I'm pretty sure he did. Anyway, he materially breached the doors of some downtown establishments. That's good, Josh. That's good. I appreciate that. Emma, I'm going to say this. Emma is noticeably tight-lipped on this.
Because I don't like to speculate. I have journalistic integrity and I don't like to speculate.
No one thinks I'm actually being serious here. So
I don't think you're being serious either, but I think I don't want to say anything because the internet is the internet and things get clipped. And
I am not going to do that to you.
I know you're not. Listen, none of this is aimed at you. This is just the internet's a dark place, which we all know. And I don't ever like, I'm kidding. I know I'm kidding. Everyone here knows I'm kidding, but like
my face hurts from smiling about this so much. I don't know why I'm enjoying it so much. It's just fun. All right. Quickly, I got a couple clips here from Scott Nichol. 45-minute conversation, lowerbroadhockey.com. I'll tell you exactly what we asked about. Here was my first. This is sort of before we got into our film study. This was when I asked him about like Nashville's development camp, what he's doing right now, what the front office is doing right now. And this is what he had to say sort of about some of the goals around what they're trying to accomplish at development.
Maybe last weekend I went and saw the World Junior Showcase, which we had 8 of our prospects at the showcase in Minnesota. So it was great to see them playing against their peers.
I wasn't going to ask this, but you brought it up. Like, do you guys have, other than just sort of teaching what you guys want to teach in development camp, like what is your overarching goal for that event in particular?
Just how we want to do things, what we look for, our culture of the Nashville Predators. The big thing is getting them in acclimated with our staff. It's our medical staff, equipment staff, our head coaches from Nashville were here, our Milwaukee coaches were here. So it's more just getting them used to, because it's hard when you're going from, if you just get drafted, you're going from the combine to the draft to the development camp. Like it's a lot of new faces. So usually these kids are 2 years, 3 years at our development camp. So when they do turn pro, then they come to Nashville for training camp. The faces are familiar, the names are familiar. It's not so new for everybody. Now like the anxiety, and they can kind of dial that down a little bit until the big boys come into camp. But yeah, that's kind of the thought of it, and just get to know them and build a relationship with them between our nutritionists and all our development staff, head coaches, and everything.
Scott was very kind to give us so much time. Director of player development for Nashville for, I think this is his 13th season, and the general manager of the Milwaukee Admirals. I believe this is going to be his 8th season. So he's been around a long time, played 20 years as well of professional hockey. So he's been around the game a long, long time. Also, I did not know this, but he has 3 kids that are all freshmen in college this year. Wow. That's a lot of tuition at one time. That was,
it's just a lot of kid at one time.
Yeah, I think 2 of them are playing hockey actually, which is kind of cool. So I think one of them is on Scully, which is good. No, we talked a lot about we watched film on Brady Martin, we watched film on Riker Lee, we watched film on Cameron Reed, we talked about Tanner Molendyke, we talked about Matthew Wood, we talked about Andrew Gibson. We talked about David Edstrom. Gibson was, I thought, interesting comments about sort of his leadership at development camp, which I'm assuming you picked up on and saw. A little bit more vocal. When you're older, it's just you're more comfortable in that development situation. So look, I did not I mean, I guess I knew this, but basically on the development side, like you have no impact and no input on the scouting side, which is of course Jeff Kelty's role. And I thought that was interesting that he said, hey, we don't even I didn't know who Riker Lee was until we had drafted him, and I said, who gets everyone in the front office out of their seat when they watch film? Like, who's the guy that everyone is just like, whoa, we like that? And he didn't even hesitate. He goes, Riker Lee. We haven't had a forward on the power play like that in a long time. And I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, Riker Lee is one of those guys that I think kind of took everybody by surprise. I mean, he had a late growth spurt, which, I personally am still waiting for mine. I've been the same height since I was 11 years old, but
it's the hips is what it is. It's the hips.
That's what it is. Yes. It's the orca hunting. I should have known, but, yeah, so he had that late growth spurt, and by late, I mean, like in high school, as I guess is a thing that happens with young boys, but he grew like, I don't even know if it was like 8 inches in a year or like something crazy like that. And he, not only did he grow and get bigger, but I think that sometimes, I would understand if you had such a massive growth spurt in such a short amount of time that you like, it would be almost hard to adjust to your limbs and like how lanky you are. And it's like he didn't even need an adjustment period. It was like he looked so in control. He's still like, he's kind of a a slippery player, I would say, that like he reads situations really well, and he has really, really good hands, because that was the thing for him, was that he was never the fastest guy. And so it's like, okay, well, how am I going to, if I'm not going to be the fastest guy, I can't just, through the power of positive thinking, get faster. So I need to, just adjust my game and improve my game in other areas. And so he really worked on his stick handling, his hands, and now he has that in addition to his really long legs, which has given him some more speed. And so it's just kind of like a stars aligning, right place, right time situation for him and for Nashville. So he's a guy that, like, I think because of his size, wasn't on a lot of teams' radars until, in the grand scheme of things, relatively recently. And so he's definitely a guy to get excited about. He was impressive at development camp as well.
He had a lot of little nuggets in there. So it's worth subscribing to go listen to the interview. He talked about where he thinks David Edstrom, which, Gallagher had ranked him number 3, I think, in the prospect list. I saw him ranked very highly in other lists as well. Maybe he shouldn't be that high. It's just, I want to point that out. Still a player that they really, really like, by the way. That's not what I'm getting at. I just, when I said, where do you see him, and explain him, he gave an answer of where he thinks he's going to be. I asked about what Tanner Molenbeek needs to do, what's left in his development. He's got a good answer for that. We talked about Matthew Wood. We talked about what you're looking at when a player like Joakim Kemmel or Matthew Wood comes to the NHL. You're not trying to see like immediate success, but it's like, how do you watch a player like that? And what is a team looking for to see from a player like that? And had a very obvious answer about what he thinks Matthew Wood needs to do to get better and to make an adjustment and make it to the NHL. And it's probably the answer you all expect, but go subscribe. I asked a lot about Brady Martin, and in particular, the way I worded the question, because I did not want to look at Scott Nichol and say, Brady Martin going to play 9 games in the NHL? Like, that's not how you ask the question. So I said, what does Brady Martin have to do in training camp to prove that he deserves an opportunity to make the roster at the start of the season and get his 8 or 9 games? And this is what he had to say.
We have rookie tournament coming in. We have main camp. We have exhibition games here. Let's see how he does with the big guys. Like, that's always a wow moment, is when you go out and you're against Forsberg and O'Reilly, and how strong, like, these are men, like how strong their sticks are, how they're so, you can't get the puck on them like that, get the puck off them. That is the biggest wow factor of all of us when we turn pro, and you think you're going to make the NHL, and then you actually go out there, and even before camp, if he's out there playing 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 with these guys, it's a huge deal. Like, so let's just crawl before we walk, and then see how the camp goes with all our young guys.
I don't think anyone on the Predators roster has an 18-year-old child yet.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I mean,
no.
like Hamhuis had some older kids when he was playing a couple years ago, but I don't feel like anyone's close. But I do feel like, as a father of 2, I know you've got kids, it's like the old man strength is very real. All right, there you go. That was AI clipping that last part for you guys. But there you go. Let's crawl before we can walk. I still think it makes a lot of sense to give Brady Martin 8 or 9 games if you're legally allowed to do it without affecting his entry-level contract. I don't know. I think you should give it to him. Sell the fans on watch this kid play. Why would it be any different than the games that Matthew Wood played last year, right?
Is that a rhetorical question? Because I have a non-rhetorical answer for that.
I appreciate those types of answers.
Well, it's different because Matthew Wood's games came at the end of the year when nothing mattered for Nashville anymore. I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I do not think that Brady Martin should get the 9-game tryout or whatever it is next year. And it honestly, my reasoning for that is it has nothing to do with Brady Martin, and it has everything to do with the rest of the team. When this team's biggest issue, or well, I mean, it's not a short list. One of the biggest issues that this team had last year was building chemistry and getting off to a hot start. Like, you need to get off to a strong start. And so maybe having the 18-year-old kid who's probably not going to be there for very long, in there for 8 games or 9 games or whatever it is, like maybe that's not going to be the best thing for your team chemistry. It might be different. I think it would be different if this was a team that had fully committed to the rebuild, and that is a whole other can of worms. I'm not going down that trail right now, but I think that if this was a team that wasn't necessarily trying to be competitive this year, then you give them the shot. Right now, I don't care, what people think, but when you've got Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault as like your core, that's your core right now. You can't bring up the kid and just give him a tryout at the start of the season. You need to get off to a hot start. You need to get off to a strong start. That's not to say that a strong start guarantees a strong season, but I think after what happened last year, they need that. And so again, it's frankly nothing against Brady Martin, but it's like, unless you really think that this kid is going to be a core piece of this team this year, then I don't think you bring him up at the start of the year.
And just once he goes back to, is it OHL? I can't remember where he's going back to, whatever he goes back, because it's not the AHL. I know that there's, and we'll get to this, some of the things I want changed. I would like those, that new, there's like one spot right then in the new bargaining agreement where the teams can say this one player can go to the AHL before the age is in the number of years after a certain birthday or whatever. It's very complicated about roster rules, which is also part of my thing. So if he plays 8 games or 9 games, does the 9-game thing, and then they send him back to juniors, they have to wait to the end of the season before he can come back to the NHL, right? Or does he have to go directly to the NHL at any point? Can they do that? Or does it have to be the end of the year? Do you know?
Well, that part I don't know. I think what's more,
he can skip the AHL next year, right?
Oh yeah, no, he can skip the AHL, but I think the important thing here though is that the reason we keep saying 9 games is because that's the most he can get before his entry-level contract kicks in. Right. And I think that is what's important here, where again, it's coming back to, is this player going to be part of your core this year or even next year, but especially this year? I don't think, to me, it's just not worth it.
I think if you want him to be a part of the core next year, which I think he's capable of doing, I think you need the experience. Your point is totally valid. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think there's one thing. If the person, I think it's more of a person that needs the good start rather than the team or the players. Like the players have guaranteed contracts. They're going to be fine. I think it's Andrew Brunette that needs the good start. And so Barry Trotz has not done a lot to say that he's trying to win this year. He's not signaling that to the fans at all. He's signaling we need to let the young kids play. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yes, but the fact remains that you still have these guys with guaranteed contracts on your roster. And so like, I don't care what Barry Trotz is saying. It's the fact of the matter is that you've got these guys now. Like, you have to try and win with these guys while you have them, or you get rid of them somehow. Get them to waive their no move clauses or whatever it is. Which again, I don't think that's the answer either, but I'm just saying, if we're talking about options on how to proceed without these guys being your core,
I'm coming around on trade everybody that's not Young or Josi, Forsberg, or Saros by the deadline. If you can move Stamkos and Marchessault, I know that's complicated with the clauses. I don't think there's a problem with that. But unless they are like 18-4-4 out of the gate or whatever, like I don't think we're having a different conversation potentially. So all right, I don't disagree with your argument though. Very non-rhetorical answer. I appreciate that. Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, 2 great local businesses that love the Nashville Predators like you. So make sure you support them like they support us. So there you go. All right, how do we fix the NHL? It's not broken. It's doing well. Ratings are up. Popularity is growing. No, in no small part because the mothership has been covering them significantly more over the last few years once they got the contract back. But I do think there's ways to fix this sport, and I wanted to open this up. If you're in the comments and you have an idea, I'd love to hear it. I've got a few. I've got like 4 or 5 that I want to float at you, and you can judge, and then you can throw some at me, and we'll judge, and we'll just judge together, and we'll just sit in judgment of each other. It'll be great. I want to know what you think about shortening the schedule. It's just so many games. It's so NBA, so many games. Baseball, so
Well,
many games.
it's about to get longer, right?
I know. They're going the wrong direction. I think it needs to be like 60 or 65 games. Give the players a little bit more break. It's just so hard to commit that much time. Baseball, it could be 140 and it would be fine. Like, it would be fine. So what do you think of that as a fan?
As a fan, like purely as a fan, no. I don't think the season should be shorter. I do think the preseason should be shorter, as I've said many times, but I don't think that the season should be shorter. Now, from the player's perspective, totally get it, totally understand it. Why, I agree with you that the season should be shorter, but also from the league perspective, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? So there are just fewer games is less income. And so I think that's, you have to take that into account too. So I don't know. I don't think the season is too many games, frankly. I mean, at least not significantly. I agree with you on baseball, though. I think baseball should be
so many games.
It's so many games.
So many games. Josh, you got another one here that I totally agree with, and that is seed the playoffs 1 through 8. I'm okay with the 2 division champions getting the 1 and the 2 seed, right? Like, even if you're the division champion and you're like the 3rd best team in the West or whatever, I'm okay with it being 1 and 2. But I think 1 should play 8, 2 should play 7, 3 should play 6, because sometimes you're getting a first round matchup that's like a conference final matchup in both sides. I don't know why we have to do this.
Dallas, Colorado.
What are we doing? 1 through 8 on both the East and the West. Give the division champs the top 2 seeds. Do it based on total points, and let's roll. Let's go.
That was one of my suggestions. I don't. It's too. I again, probably something that I'm going to get a lot of hate for. I actually think that Gary Bettman has been really good for the NHL in a lot of ways.
Duck.
In a lot of ways. Yeah. I do.
I think he's done a lot of really good things. I think he's a weird guy, but I think he's done a lot of good things.
This though, it's like, and of course he's been asked about it a lot. And recently he has straight up said, like, yeah, we're not changing it. And it's just like, you want to grab him by the arms and shake him. You're like, are you trying to make this worse? Like, are you trying to make this more complicated? And like more complicated than it needs to be. But that was one of mine. I think it's just too easy. It's right in front of you. Like, just do it.
And it's not that it needs to be easy for casual fans to understand, but it kind of does. And like, if you're trying to bring in new fans to your playoff format and explaining to them, well, but no, like the top seed gets the 1, and then the 2nd and the 3rd in each division to play each other. And then it's the next 2 highest scoring team. It's like, no, just 1 division champ is the 1 seed. The next division champ is the 2 seed. And then literally the next 6 best point totals get in. That's it. They could all be from the Central. I don't care. Like, fine, whatever.
Best team.
Right, shockingly. Now, I will say, in the current format, there's not many. There is no. I don't think there's been many times. Maybe I'm wrong. We can go back and look where like a team that would have gotten in didn't get in because another division 3rd place team happened to have fewer points than you did, and you didn't have enough in the wild card. Right? Does that make sense? Is that even possible to do?
I remember, so I can't remember which teams now were edged out, but I remember not this last season, but the season before, when Washington made it in, and they had like the worst point differential in like NHL playoff history or something. Like for a playoff team, they had the worst point differential in history, and they still made it into the playoffs, and it was because of those silly rules. And so again, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I don't remember who they edged out, but it's kind of like
you'd have to be 6th in your own division and have more points than 3rd place in the other division.
Yes.
Is what it would be. And so like, if it's a 95 point season, that's the 3 seed, which again, I don't think I don't think this has happened in the West. So you're pointing out another time that it might have happened, but the point is, in theory, it could happen. And that seems stupid.
Yes, it does.
So we all agree. Let's see here. Season should end a month sooner. 3 points. Here's one I've got for you. Josh says 3 points for a regulation win, 2 for an OT win, 1 for an OT loss. I'm going to go a little different direction, but I'm going to go to overtime. First of all, Four Nations taught me a lot about a lot. And the 10-minute overtime period is fantastic. But I don't think we should have a shootout. I think it should be a tie. If you have played 70 minutes of hockey and the score is tied, the game is a tie. It's just a tie. Like, two teams played a game and they were about the same. It's a tie. And then you only need three things in the standings. It's win, loss, tie. That's it. But I like getting. I don't think you need more points for a regulation win. But I don't know. Just 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie. That's it. No points for a loss. But create ties again. Make it win, loss, tie. Like, sports.
Yeah, so like soccer is what you're going for.
I like ties. I think I'm coming around on tie. I'm getting older and I'm pro tie now.
I didn't mean that as a negative thing. I'm just trying to
very much
understand.
Like soccer. Yes. Yeah. Win, loss, draw.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. I might take it slightly different. I don't like ties, but I do like the 10-minute overtime. That's nice. I say get rid of the loser point. Please get rid of the loser point.
That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
In the overtime loss.
Yep.
So I think, like, for example, a regulation win, that's 1 point. An overtime win, maybe that's 2 points. But if you lose, you lose. Like, you shouldn't get a point, even if you lose in overtime.
You're saying a win. You said a win in regulation is 1 point.
Reverse that. Win in regulation is 2 points. A win in overtime is 1 point. And then if you lose, you lose.
I see where you're going with that. I would do. Okay, so maybe I need to clarify what I was saying. I think any win is 2 points. And the extra 10 minutes is just like more regular hockey. It's just, we're just making the game a little bit longer to make sure we can try to score. And maybe it's 4-on-4 instead of 3-on-3. Maybe that's what it is, to make it a little bit more like a regular version of hockey. But I'm with you. If you can protect your net and get the tie, you get a point. If you cannot and you lose, well, you lose.
Yeah.
You don't get any points then.
Yeah. It's very complicated to try and explain that to people who are either not fans or who are casual fans. And it's just like, and the response, like, they're so simplistic about it. And it's like, yes, I know it doesn't make sense. They're like, wait, but they lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why do they get a point? I know.
Knows.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody knows. Gary Bettman doesn't know. Again, I think it's so easy. Win, loss, tie. That's it. 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 points for a loss. End of discussion. That's it.
I think you make it like baseball or football, where like you have overtime that still exists, but a win is a win, no matter how many minutes it takes you.
Agree. And again, I think there's a philosophical discussion about ties in general. Like, Americans are just like anti-tie. It's like, no, you can't have a tie. How dare you have a tie? And it's like, well, if two teams play a basically even match, football, soccer, or hockey, like in the regular season, not the playoffs where you can't have a tie, but in the regular season, why can't we just be like, you guys played 112 minutes of hockey and you're basically even, so we're going to call it a draw. Like, I don't know why we don't have that. I don't know why Americans in particular are so anti-tie as like a philosophy. But I've come back around as I've gotten older. Maybe it's also getting back into soccer, but also this frustrating hockey thing where I'm just like, guys, let's just make it a tie again. Like, 3 columns in the standings. We don't need ROW in a column. We don't need all this stuff. So loser point is a participation point. Boo, says Kevin. I agree. That's exactly correct. We could appoint a 13-member committee to decide who was the better team in each overtime period. Once it gets to a tie, we could just have the committee decide who gets the win, like college football. I do want to see the rosters change a little bit. I think, what is it, 23? I think you could go to 25 and have 2 extra players. That way you don't always have to have this like short shift stuff. I think you could keep a reserve. Like, why not have like 1 player in reserve for a game so that if somebody gets hurt, you're not having to like put other players at risk to short shift or double shift or play with 5 defensemen or whatever. Like, I don't know. Why don't we have 25 roster spots? This is creating jobs, Emma. Let's create jobs. 25 roster spots. You can have maybe 1 or 2 extra people on the bench for a game, like 1 forward, 1 defenseman, whatever. And then I also want to see the AHL thing, more of that, where you get drafted and you don't have to all the way go back to your junior league team until you're a certain age with a certain number of years. Like if you get drafted, you either like baseball, you either go to college and you go to college, or you become a professional, and that's it. And then you can do whatever you want once you're a professional.
Yeah, I was with you on that until the very last part. I do agree that I think the whole age rule is stupid. Like, oh, you're only 19, well, you can't go to the AHL. Like, come on. Like
It seems dumb,
you know,
right? Yeah.
it's dumb. It is dumb. And like for some players, and I mean, I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's one of those things that it's like how, I mean, we've now seen it so many times, like recently, I feel like not just with the Predators, but around the NHL, where it's like prospects they're not quite ready for the NHL, but they've done everything they can do in the junior for their junior team. And it's like, well, now where do they go?
It doesn't even serve them any purpose to be down there playing. Like it doesn't make them better.
No,
right?
It doesn't make them better. I mean, like their flimsy argument, well, it builds confidence. We'll say, of course it does. They're playing against kids who are, not even challenging them.
Yeah.
So
it was negotiated in the last bargaining agreement to protect the junior leagues, like all the different Canadian junior leagues. It was sort of done to protect all those leagues so that NHL teams aren't just like
taking
with all their with all their best money, they're just going and just grabbing every player. But like now the new bargaining agreement is that you can have one player where you get to control that player at all times. And it's like, well, what's the point of one? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, I do get it from the junior perspective because it's a feeder league for the NHL. They have a very tight agreement between the two. And so like you have to keep them happy. I get that. But I think that I don't know. I guess like I don't want to poo-poo the whole one player thing yet, just because like I feel like whenever we have these conversations about like why this rule is stupid, it's usually centered around one player. So it's like
no, I think the one is a step in the right direction. I think it's a great step in the right direction for sure. It just feels odd. It's like, no, you can have one. Like it's just,
I mean, I get it. Like I get it from both sides.
It's to your point. It's about the one special prospect that you might have, and that you need to have a little wiggle room with just that one guy because that one guy might be different than all your other prospects. And so I get why that's sort of the middle ground of the issue, and they're kind of giving a little bit back to the NHL, which I understand on that. This is a really interesting one here from Kevin. I hadn't thought about this one. I want the puck over the glass penalty to be treated like an icing instead. Now I am torn on this initially. It does feel extra punitive to give a 2-minute penalty for just like a 4 to 8 inch mistake off the top of the glass. But also the reason it exists is so that you can't just do it and slow the game down. And if it's just an icing penalty and all you're doing is getting a reset in your own zone, you were already there in the first place. And so I don't think that's punitive enough. So I don't know I don't think there's a middle ground. So I think I understand why it's a penalty, even if it feels a little aggressive.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. You nailed it. As far as like with it being a delay of game penalty, that's what you're trying to prevent is delaying the game. What does icing do? It delays the game. So it's like there has to be something. Now there's a little bit of, I guess, gray area in terms of, there's going to be a little bit of, it's going to be kind of arbitrary where it's like, well, did he mean to send the puck over the glass, but so there's always going to be that weird gray area, but
maybe what about
I don't have a problem with it.
Josh, like what about a 1-minute penalty for that? Could that be that's like a weird kind of middle ground. I'm with you. The 1-minute penalty sounds weird.
Like, does that really do much? I mean, I don't know.
I'm with you. Is there any other rule changes during play that you would change? Like, we've had so many changes with the clutching and the grabbing and the traps and the goalie trapezoid. We've had a lot of changes in the game over the last 20 years on the ice. So I don't know if there's anything else you would change on the ice. Most of the stuff I would change is more structural.
This is very specific, but it's something that has bothered me for years in the NHL that so there are a lot of people who think that the embellishment penalty should be done away with entirely. I don't. But I think, so if you have two players, you have player A, player B, and like player A slashes player B.
I love where you're going. I love where you're going.
And player A is called for slashing, then don't call player B for embellishing. If it's actually a penalty, it's a penalty.
How can it be embellishing?
Right. That's what I'm saying. So like now if player A like gently nudged player B and then player B went flying, that's when you can call it embellishment. That's fine. But it's like if it's a penalty, if it's an actual penalty, then the player who draws the penalty should not get called for embellishment. I will die on that hill. It has bothered me for years.
Could not agree more.
Some people, like I said,
Couldn't
some
agree
people say, oh, like, get rid of the embellishment penalty. It's dumb. I'm like, no, I think it has a place. It's just not when there's another penalty being
If
called.
you committed the penalty, everything after that is null and void.
Yes.
Like you've committed the penalty. That's it. That's the end of the play. That's the penalty.
Now, like if player A doesn't even touch player B and he sends himself sprawling, then like fine, call that embellishment if you want to. Like, I mean,
but that's the penalty then on the play. The penalty is the faking it, the diving.
Yes.
That's the penalty. There's not another penalty.
Yeah, for sure.
I totally
100%.
agree. I totally agree with you. It seems like all of our commenters agree with you as well. I don't love you can just go back like 3 minutes after a goal and be like, offsides.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I feel like you should have to do it in real time, but I also don't know how to execute that in the game. Like you're not going to have a coach like throw a red hanky onto the ice. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So I don't know how you stop. I don't know how you stop that.
I also like kind of in the same vein of that, and I hesitate to bring it up because I don't really have a proposed solution for it, but I don't know, delayed penalties kind of bother me too, where it's like you let them keep playing and then you have to wait until it goes into the other zone and then the goalie leaves and the ref's got his arm up. It's like, I don't know. It's very complicated. If you're trying to help people, again, I don't know, maybe this is too much dumbing it down for the casual fan.
Well, if you watch a lot of soccer, it's about awarding the advantage, right? So if you get fouled in soccer, but you maintain possession and you're on the break on offense, but you got fouled, they're not going to call the penalty. They want to give you the opportunity to play the play out.
No, I get it. Like, I understand the purpose of it. I'm just saying, so that's not one that I feel as strongly about as like the embellishment thing, but it's like, it's one thing that I don't think I would be mad if they came out with a rule and said like, we're getting rid of delayed penalties.
You're just saying it just like penalty is called and that's the whistle. That's it.
Yeah. Like I think simplify it.
I think the reason, I mean, obviously, you know, the reason. So I guess if I've got a 2-on-1 and somebody gets, there's a penalty in the neutral zone, like you want to allow the 2-on-1 to happen, right? Like,
yeah,
you got, now what I don't like is that it becomes a delayed penalty and then you take the puck all the way back and you circle around for a while. You wait for your goalie to get out there. You get your sixth guy on, then you build your power, and then you build. And after a minute and a half of building, you get in there and you have half a shot and it's like, oh, whistle. I think, that was a waste of time.
It's situations like that where it really just bothers me. I'm like, could we just get the whistle and get the power play out here?
What about like a 15-second? Like the ref puts the arm up for the delayed penalty and they're like, you have the rush or 15 seconds. And then after that, the play's over. Like you can't just set up shop and circle around and waste time. Maybe that's a way to kind of maybe middle ground it a little bit. Last one I want to throw.
Almost kind of like a shot clock in basketball a little bit. Where, it's
designed to allow for the advantage to play out. And as long as you just allow the play to play out and kind of finish naturally, you haven't affected the flow or anything. I think that's good. It's when they take the puck back and they reset and then they let the goalie get off. And then you're just creating a new form of hockey for a minute. And then like almost every time that leads to nothing.
Yeah.
Like it leads to like you circle around, you pass it, and maybe you get a shot off, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
So I think you let the play play out. And if nothing happens on the rush or on the play or in the immediate aftermath, then you just got to call the penalty. Last one here, I'll let you go. Sinkers, Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. This one might be the most controversial. Well, actually, there's two more, but one that we don't need to talk about. I love the Four Nations face-off. We need more not gimmicky is not the right word, but we need more short bursts of creative, fun, interesting dynamics in hockey. International play is so fun. It's such a valued part of the game that having that stuff in the middle of the season or at other times of the year is awesome. I think stadium series stuff you and I have talked about all over the world. Let's do it. Let's go. I think that stuff's really cool. But the one I'm curious about, I know it's controversial in baseball, but I actually really love the buildup of the postseason structurally. I enjoy best 2 out of 3, best 3 out of 5, best 4 out of 7, best 4 out of 7. I like that it builds and that there's like the lesser teams have to compete in this short little thing, the way we had the play-in tournament during COVID in hockey. And I like 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7. I think there's something cool about how it builds. And hockey is so hard. You've been in the locker rooms at the end of these playoff runs in 2017 when the Preds did it. I will never forget the looks on their faces. Their eyes were sunk in their heads. Their faces like were pale and pasty. Like they looked like they had been like in an underwater war for like a month and a half. Like the players' bodies would benefit from this after a long 82-game season. I know baseball fans complain that you play 162 games and then like one bad pitching outing and like, your season's over. But like, hey, don't be the last place team,
Well, in hockey, you don't play 162 games, so there's also that. But I agree. I'm kind of a playoff hockey junkie, so I kind of like the 7 game. But I understand where you're coming from, and I wouldn't be mad if that was a change that was made. I do think it makes sense. I like how it builds. I like that baseball has since gotten rid of. They used to do the wild card game where it was just one game. Yeah. That was dumb. Like at least they have made those longer. I don't think anything should come down, to just one game. Like I think you have like little mini series. So I'd be on board with that.
And even just 3 out of 5 in the first round and second round would that would create more opportunity maybe for an upset potentially, right? Like 2 out of 3, all you need as an 8 seed is just to win 2 games. You can do that as an 8 seed. Over a 1, let's say. But I think maybe 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7, 4 out of 7. So your conference final and your Stanley Cup final are 4 out of 7. And then you go 3 out of 5 and these like short bursts of drama. And I'm with you. I also love 4 out of 7 in the first round because what makes a great hockey series is that knowledge that builds the familiarity over time with the relationships on the ice and everything. That's what makes a series a really dramatic series. So anyway, I think I really like the baseball and how it builds. Like, I know purists don't love it, but I think it's cool that it goes. The stakes get bigger as you go, and I think that's kind of cool. So, all right, Emma, what you got coming up for everybody out there?
Well, I am I'm hosting the wraparound over at the Hockey News every Monday and Friday throughout the off season. I concur with Scott Nichol that this is the slowest week of the off season. But believe it or not, I'm always shocked at how much we still have to talk about. A lot of interesting contract situations going on, not for this year, but we talked about how this year kind of a dud year for free agency. But if you look at all the free agent class upcoming for next year, guys like Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, I mean, lots to talk about still. So go check that out.
There you go. Sinkers Beverages as well. Shotgun Willie's Barbecue at Emma_Lingan on the internet. You can get to me at Braden Gall. Lower Broad Hockey coming up on Thursday. The entire conversation with Scott Nichol, some film study on all those first round picks and a lot of other cool stuff as well. So stay tuned for all that. I asked him, I said, do you think Brady Martin's going to be the captain after Roman Josi retires? I asked him exactly like that. All right, Emma, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everybody in the comments. Appreciate you guys. 5-star reviews. Subscribers, thumbs up, notifications turned on, all that great stuff. Share the show, tell everybody about it. We're still talking hockey year round. For Emma, I'm Braden. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.